Things are not looking good for Bloober Team and their Silent Hill 2 remake. The company's CEO, Peter Babieno, is asking gamers to give Bloober Team and the game a chance, despite Konami, the game's publisher, confirming that this game was being adapted to modern audiences and that there is speculation that a Sweet Baby Inc. style consultancy group has been working on the game. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Roll this up over at thatparkplace.com. And this was done in an interview with Rolling Stone where Babieno asked gamers to give him a chance. But before he did that, this is what he said. He confirmed that this game is not a remake. He is describing it instead as a romantic vision of the game from more than 20 years ago. That sounds very similar to what we hear from the Rings of Power showrunners, where they are making writing the novel that Tolkien never wrote. It's like, no, just adapt it. We just want a remake. We don't want your vision. We want what it already was, like, adapted to modern graphics and things like that. Not for modern audiences, just update the graphics, and that's pretty much it, and people would be happy. Nevertheless, we are getting a romantic vision of the game for more than 20 years ago. So already off to a bad start before he even gets to the ask there. He also admitted that the team has struggled during development. He said this: let's say development has been a daunting journey balancing preservation and innovation. Again, you shouldn't be innovating. You shouldn't be trying to write the novel that Tolkien never wrote. You shouldn't be trying to make the game that Konami did not make. You should be literally just updating, in my opinion, the graphics engine for a game like this. Don't really need to do anything else. There's a reason why you're remaking it in the first place. Is because the first one did so well, but now you're trying to change it. That's exactly what this guy is saying. Again, not getting off to a good start here for asking for gamers' trust. Nevertheless, he then went on and said this: because of those conversations with Konami, we found a great balance of what we and our partner had in mind. It took us a long time to get there with a lot of creative discussions and hard work, but we are very happy with the result. He then asked gamers to give the game and his company a chance. He says, I am dreaming that gamers will trust us, but I realize that trust is earned through actions, not through words. So that's why we have a policy of not commenting on the specifics of the game and raising hopes. No. Every time you have commented, you haven't been raising hopes at all. You've been dashing the hopes of this game becoming profitable. That's what you've been doing. That's more than likely why you have not been commenting. And that's why you are now asking gamers to buy the game, because you're probably seeing pre-order sales data and it doesn't look good, because gamers have been roasting this game ever since we saw the trailer. Nevertheless, he went on and said this: we want to show our ambitions through our work, so we can't ask for anything more than give us a chance. So that sounds like desperation right there. Obviously, you like to hear that. You want to say, give us a chance, but it also comes about like that you don't really feel confident in what you've been selling to gamers, and gamers seemingly don't like what you are selling. That's because you have made radical design changes to the game. You can see Angela here. It doesn't look anything like the character from the original game. We'll have a side-by-side comparison a little bit later on here, so bear with me. But let's go back to what Mr. Babieno had to say here, because he says that while he wants gamers to give his team and the game a chance, he said this: we try to make all possible fans happy, but at the same time, be very faithful to ourselves. Again, writing the novel that Tolkien never wrote. That's what this sounds like to me. I really hope that when people play for the first time, they will understand that the choices we made were the best possible. Or you didn't need to make those choices to begin with, and you should have just remade the game. That's what you should have done. So I don't think this is going to convince gamers. And to me, it appears to be more conversation that this game is being wokeified. The game's publisher, Konami, had previously confirmed the game was being adapted for modern audiences. We had this post here on X. It includes a video, too, of some of the developers talking about it. But you can see here, see how the Bloober team devs working on Silent Hill 2 preserved authenticity while adapting a horror classic for modern audiences. That is the death knell to any type of medium when you are saying that you are trying to adapt for modern audiences, because they simply do not exist. The modern audience does not exist. They are not buying this slop that people are always trying to sell them, especially in the past 2 or so years. People have really rejected this ideology that has been infecting all of Western culture for the most part in all types of mediums, whether it happens to be video games, which we're talking about now, novels, movies, television shows, etc. All forms being infected by this. In the video, the game's lead producer, Maciej Glom, said this: "I think the biggest change that we've had was actually how to make the game approachable for the newcomers who have not played the original, but at the same time to retain the familiarity of the game that player remembers from 20 years ago." Again, why would you have to make it more approachable? What are you doing? Like, was the first game not approachable? There's a reason why you're remaking it, because the first game was so successful. So what are you even talking about here? Does not make any sense whatsoever. Creative designer and lead director Matthias Lennart added this: "Our goal from the very beginning was to maintain the game's atmosphere while modernizing the gameplay to make it competitive in 2024. So they're remaking a game that was wildly successful so people can play it on their PC, they can play it on the newest consoles, etc. And they're changing the gameplay as well because they wanted to make it more competitive. It's like, why are you remaking the game in the first place then? What are you doing? What is the purpose of remaking the game? Why would you not just make your own game?" Barbara Kasiuk, Bloober Team's senior narrative designer, also explained how the company changed the story. She said this: "In the remake, the story remains largely the same. However, with the magic of modern technology, we're able to expand on some of its aspects." So that is a massive, massive red flag. Again, writing the novel that Tolkien never wrote, going back to that Lord of the Rings analogy there. Senior combat designer Monica Chamura also said this: "The hardest was designing combat. We want to be as faithful as possible to the original game, but also we want players to feel satisfaction while playing. Remember that we need to fit in the horror genre. Like, the first game wasn't part of the horror genre. Like, seriously, what is going on here? What is going on?" All of these things are red flags. Remember, they weren't talking about this though, right? Like, that's what the CEO Babieno said. They don't talk about it. The reason why you're not talking about it, because anytime you say something, it literally is decreasing your sales, your potential sales, turning people away. That's why you stop talking about this game, because you have talked about it. You have talked about it right here. We just went over some of the people that have talked about it. So this confirmation that the game was being adapted for modern audiences came in the wake of Bloober Team being accused of pushing the DEI agenda by collaborating with a video game consultancy company called Hit Detection. After the game was showcased during a Sony State of Play video at the end of May, ex-user Manga Lawyer pointed out the change in character designs for Angela from the original to the remake. So this is what I was talking about. We would have that side by side, and you could see they definitely DEI'd the character here, completely changing her design, which just utterly ridiculous. And then he kind of mocks them, saying, "In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill 2, modern cheeseburger remake. You promised me you'd take me there again someday with a side of fries and a milkshake, but that day never came. The Crimson Chin." So just absolutely mocking them for their character design. And then we also have the voice acting change as well. This was pointed out by was a really username here on X. And he said, "Please tell me I'm not the only one who genuinely thinks the voice acting is way worse now in Silent Hill 2 Remake, especially for Angela." Here's some comparisons. If you want to listen to some comparisons, I will have the link in the description below so you can check those out as well. I concur with what really username has to say, that the original is a lot better. And it's like, why did you change it? Why? Probably because you didn't want to pay the original voice actor. So you got a new one for cheaper, is my guess. As for why the character of Angela was redesigned from the original game, Manga Lawyer speculates it's due to the influence of game consultancy Hit Detection. He posted this: "Bloober Team has hired Sweet Baby Inc. 2.0 Hit Detection, a sensitive consulting company for Silent Hill 2 Remake, plus ESG Konami. Ever wonder why Maria looks so sanitized? Not spoiling the game, but it's over, bros. Pack your things. When they said modern audience, they meant it. So if you check out Manga Lawyer's post here, you will see that Hit Detection does list Bloober Team as one of its clients on its website. In fact, the company's homepage says this: Hit Detection is a video game consultancy firm with a global presence. We bring decades of experience in games media, consumer electronics, and interactive entertainment to deliver the most comprehensive and accurate insights to clients who have trusted us for many years. Among the esteemed clientele that we are able to publicly reveal, we have provided services to the likes of Bloober Team, Remedy, and Sega. Our commitment to building a team from a variety of backgrounds, including underrepresented groups, is a superpower that allows us to provide unique and varied perspectives, setting us apart from other firms. This diversity is a strength that fortifies our insights and gives us a natural advantage within the consultancy landscape. So, yes, sounds very similar to Sweet Baby Inc. And as Mega Lawyer says, it is Sweet Baby Inc. Sweet Baby Inc. 2.0. So not only is Hit Detection promoting itself using this language, but as noted by Mega Lawyer, one of the company services is sensitive issues assessment. Our team assesses the risk factors for depictions of characters from underrepresented groups, themes, and potential community reactions. So clearly trying to censor games based on woke ideology, woke cultism. And so we also had this interview that Bloober Team's chief marketing officer, Anna Jasinska, gave to Dread XP. Again, apparently, remember, they aren't talking about the game yet. We have all of this information from these developers talking about the game. It's because every time they do talk about the game, they're, in my opinion, they're losing potential customers because they are admitting just what they've done is writing the novel that Tolkien never wrote and just creating their own game and using Silent Hill 2 as a skin suit. So she was asked by Dread XP, was the team given free reign to put their own spin on things? Bloober Team is amazing at its ability to transform the environment around the player, and I'm really hoping we get to see that put to use here for the other world. And this is what Jasinska said. As aforementioned, we take a very safe approach to any changes. We remain faithful to the original title. Well, that sounds good. Nonetheless, we are applying adjustments to certain areas where things need modernizing due to the passage of time. What? What needs modernizing? What needs modernizing in Silent Hill 2, sides from maybe updating the graphics? Like what needs modernizing? So she goes on and she says, we are focusing on bringing the distinct visceral atmosphere back in the modernized Silent Hill 2. There's that word again, modernize. Longtime fans shouldn't worry about us missing the point while we were livening up the title. We faithfully stick to the traditional story canon while remaking the gameplay and updating the graphics from the ground up. These are the reasons why Konami entrusted us with the remake in the first place. So I actually like that part there, updating the graphics. That's literally all you should have been doing. I don't think you should have been remaking the gameplay, and I definitely don't think you should have been modernizing Silent Hill 2. So she goes on and talks about how they're remaking the gameplay. It says a big visible change is the adoption of an over-the-shoulder camera, which altered the perspective of a few iconic set pieces, but also meant an overhaul to the combat system. The latest technological achievements do wonder when it comes to making the visuals pop. As you see, we are not straying away from the original concept of making this cult classic. We just have some ideas on how to make the peculiar scare factors more appealing to the contemporary audience. So they changed the entire combat system because they wanted to appeal to this quote unquote contemporary or modern audience. I mean, what is happening here? So we also had this. This is a more recent blog post. Konami producer Motoi Akamoto and Bloober Team creative director and lead designer Matthias Leonard confirmed the remake was changing some of the settings as well as the dialogue. So they said this in a joint statement or a joint blog post. The setting of some events may change, but their impact on the story will remain the same even when new locations are introduced. We've sought to refer to the original whenever possible so that returning players will feel right at home when they venture out into the foggy streets of Silent Hill again. I've heard this before. It's literally Rings of Power all over again. What did they tell us? We're going back to the book. We're always going back to the book, back to the book, back to the book. And when Tolkien was silent, well, then we made stuff up. It's like, what are you doing? Stop it. You're making the same mistake as Rings of Power that had 63% of people abandon the show after watching it. They did not finish. 63% of people who first tuned into the show did not complete it. 63%. That's awful. And these people are doing the same thing. They're following the same ideology. They're following the same tactics, and they're going to get the same results. So as for the dialogue, they said this: the central characters from the original story, James and Maria, are at the heart of our remake as well. Their emotional arcs have been preserved with great care being given to showcasing their emotions with motion capture technology. This allows us to employ show, don't tell techniques more often, which is why some of the dialogue has been slightly altered to add an extra layer of nuance to the character's dynamics. So that is not selling me on this either. But so I think this game is an absolute disaster. There's a reason why the guy is going out and asking for gamers to give him a chance, because he probably sees that pre-order sales are not looking good for this game. And he's basically begging people to purchase this game when it comes out later this year. I don't think that's going to happen. I think gamers have seen through this. They see all the red flags, and they're just not interested in what Bloober team is trying to sell them in the novel or the game that Konami did not make. But those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.